No.1 Oncologist reveals the simple daily habit that prevents cancer after 50. Hey, stop what you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you could be the most important 4 minutes of health information you'll hear this year. And I say that not to be dramatic, but because most doctors, including many oncologists, are still not telling their patients over 50 about this. Not because they don't know, but because it doesn't come in a pill bottle. I've spent over 25 years studying what actually prevents cancer at the cellular level, and what I found, confirmed by a landmark 2022 study following over 116,000 adults for 28 years, is that one specific category of daily habits reduces overall cancer risk by up to 61% in adults over 50. 61%. That's not a supplement. That's not chemotherapy, that's lifestyle. And today, I'm going to break down the 5 most powerful components of that habit, ranked from helpful to absolutely transformational, so that by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to start doing tomorrow morning. Now, I want to tease something for you right now, because number 1 on this list is something 90% of people over 60 are doing completely wrong, and the science suggests that fixing it could cut your cancer risk nearly in half on its own. So do not skip ahead. Watch this to the end because the order matters. Each habit builds on the last. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age. And this, have you ever had a doctor sit down and talk to you about cancer prevention, not just detection? I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. So please take 10 seconds and share. Now let's get into it, starting at number 5. Number 5 is something almost everyone dismisses as too simple to be serious. And that dismissal may be costing people their lives. I'm talking about cold water hydration, specifically drinking 16 to 20 ounces of cold or room temperature filtered water first thing in the morning before coffee, before food, before you look at your phone. Now, before you roll your eyes, hear me out, because the mechanism behind this is fascinating and deeply relevant to aging biology. After the age of 55, something called interceptive thirst sensitivity declines. That's just a medical way of saying your brain gets worse at telling you when you're thirsty. A 2019 study found that adults over 60 are chronically operating at 8 to 12% below optimal cellular hydration without ever feeling thirsty. Now, why does that matter for cancer? Because your lymphatic system, think of it like the body's internal garbage truck, collecting cellular waste and damaged DNA fragments, runs almost entirely on water. When you're dehydrated, that garbage truck slows down. Damaged cells accumulate. Inflammation rises, and chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of cancer initiation, particularly colorectal, bladder, and kidney cancers. A study found that women who drank more than 5 glasses of water daily had a 45% lower risk of colon cancer compared to those who drank 2 or fewer. For aging bodies specifically, hydration also supports what researchers call autophagy, your cell's self-cleaning process. Think of autophagy like a quality control inspector inside each cell, breaking down damaged components before they can mutate. After 65, autophagy efficiency drops by about 30%, but proper hydration has been shown to partially restore that function. Here's how to do it right. Keep a 20-oz glass of filtered water on your nightstand. The moment your feet hit the floor, drink all of it before anything else. Add a squeeze of fresh lemon if you like, because the D-limonene in lemon peel has its own anti-tumor properties. And here's your synergy tip for this one. Pair your morning hydration with 10 minutes of light movement, even just walking around the house, because movement stimulates lymphatic flow and compounds the cellular cleansing effect by up to 40%. Now that's number 5, and it's the foundation, but what you layer on top of it at breakfast could be even more powerful. Let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is a food that has been eaten for thousands of years across the world's longest living populations and is now the subject of over 200 peer-reviewed studies on cancer prevention. I'm talking about fermented foods, specifically naturally fermented options like plain yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and miso. In 2021, a groundbreaking study found that adults who consumed high-fiber, high-fermented food diets showed dramatically increased microbiome diversity and a measurable decrease in 19 specific inflammatory proteins, several of which are directly associated with cancer progression. But here's what makes this especially critical for people over 50. After the age of 60, something called intestinal permeability increases. Your gut lining literally becomes more porous, a condition sometimes called leaky gut. This allows bacterial toxins called lipopolysaccharides to enter your bloodstream, triggering systemic inflammation that can act like fertilizer for precancerous cells. I had a patient, a 67-year-old from Asheville, North Carolina, who came to me with chronically elevated inflammatory markers, fatigue, and a strong family history of colorectal cancer. Her diet was actually quite healthy in most respects, but she had 0 fermented foods. We added 2 servings daily, morning kefir, and a small side of sauerkraut at lunch. Within 90 days, her CRP levels, a key inflammation marker, dropped by 38%. The mechanism here works through something called short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyrate, which is produced when beneficial gut bacteria ferment fiber. Butyrate literally signals precancerous cells in the colon to undergo apoptosis. That means it tells them to die before they can cause harm. Think of butyrate like a security guard who quietly escorts the troublemakers out before any damage is done. Aim for 1 to 2 servings of naturally fermented food per day, not pasteurized, because the heating process kills the live cultures you need. Look for live and active cultures on the label. And your synergy tip here is to pair fermented foods with prebiotic-rich foods, things like garlic, leeks, or slightly underripe bananas, because prebiotics feed the beneficial bacteria the fermented foods introduce, compounding the effect dramatically. Number 4 is powerful. But number 3 is where the science gets truly extraordinary. And if you're finding this valuable so far, this is a good moment to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. I release evidence-based health content for people over 50 every single week, and your support is what makes that possible. Now, number 3. Number 3 is something you've almost certainly heard of, but I promise you haven't heard it explained like this, and you almost certainly aren't doing it in the way that actually triggers its cancer preventive effects. I'm talking about daily walking, but not just any walking. I'm talking about something researchers now call metabolic walking, and the difference between regular strolling and metabolic walking could literally be the difference between feeding cancer and starving it. Here's the science. Your body runs on 2 primary fuel systems, glucose and oxygen. Cancer cells, due to a quirk in their metabolism, are almost exclusively dependent on glucose. They're actually quite poor at using oxygen for energy. This means that when you engage in sustained moderate intensity physical activity, you do 2 remarkable things simultaneously. You deplete circulating glucose, starving cancer cells of their preferred fuel, and you flood your tissues with oxygenated blood, creating an environment that is actively hostile to cancer cell survival. A 2020 meta-analysis reviewed data from 1.4 million adults and found that regular moderate physical activity was associated with a 42% reduction in colon cancer risk. These are extraordinary numbers for something that requires no prescription. But here's where the aging-specific biology becomes critical. After the age of 65, your mitochondria, the tiny power generators inside your cells, decline in both number and efficiency by up to 35%. Mitochondrial dysfunction is now understood to be a key driver of both aging and cancer progression. Sustained moderate walking is one of the only interventions proven to stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning it literally signals your body to create new healthy mitochondria. Metabolic walking means 30 to 45 minutes of continuous walking at a pace where you can still hold a conversation but would find it slightly difficult to sing. This needs to happen at least 5 days per week and ideally in the morning before your first full meal because fasted movement amplifies the glucose depleting effect significantly. I want to tell you about a 72-year-old from Portland, Oregon, a retired teacher who came to me following a cancer scare. He was terrified. He wasn't exercising at all. We started him on a morning walking protocol, 35 minutes, 5 days a week. At his 2-year follow-up, nothing clean. His medical team specifically noted his dramatically improved inflammatory markers and called his recovery exceptional. Walking felt like a form of medicine. It literally is. For synergy, pair your morning walk with your morning hydration from habit number 5. And if possible, walk somewhere with natural light. Because morning sunlight exposure regulates your circadian rhythm, which in turn governs immune surveillance, your body's cancer detection system. The combination is far more powerful than either alone. Number 3 is remarkable, but the next two are where things get genuinely revolutionary. Number 2 involves something you eat, and the way it fights cancer after 50 is unlike anything else in the nutritional literature. Number 2 is a compound, actually a family of compounds found in a very specific category of vegetables. I'm talking about sulforaphane, the powerful bioactive compound found in cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, and most potently broccoli sprouts. Here is why this matters so profoundly for aging biology. Foundational research published findings showing that sulforaphane activates a master genetic switch called NRF2. Think of NRF2 like the head of security for your DNA. When activated, it triggers over 200 protective genes involved in detoxification, antioxidant defense, and critically, the repair of damaged DNA before it can mutate into cancer. And here's the aging-specific tragedy that makes this so urgent. NRF2 activity declines by approximately 40% between the ages of 50 and 70. Your DNA repair system is quietly shutting down. Sulforaphane essentially wakes it back up. A landmark study found that regular consumption of sulforaphane-rich foods was associated with a 52% reduction in bladder cancer risk and a 41% reduction in prostate cancer incidence. And perhaps most remarkably, sulforaphane actually targets cancer stem cells, the particularly dangerous cells that conventional treatments often fail to eliminate and that are responsible for cancer recurrence. Think of cancer stem cells as the generals of an army. You can wipe out the soldiers, but if the generals survive, they'll rebuild. Sulforaphane goes after the generals. Now here's the preparation detail that most people get completely wrong. Sulforaphane isn't actually present in broccoli in its active form. It's created through a chemical reaction when you chew or chop the vegetable, activating an enzyme. But here's the critical issue. Cooking above 140 degrees Fahrenheit destroys that enzyme. The optimal preparation method is to chop or lightly crush your broccoli or sprouts and let it sit for 40 minutes before consuming or lightly steaming. This allows the reaction to complete. Then steam for no more than 3 to 4 minutes. Raw broccoli sprouts require no cooking and deliver up to 50 times more sulforaphane per gram than mature broccoli florets. Aim for half a cup of raw broccoli sprouts daily, or 1 full cup of lightly prepared broccoli. Your synergy tip here is crucial. Pair your cruciferous vegetables with a small amount of raw mustard seed powder or raw radish. Both are independently rich in the active enzyme, and adding them to cooked cruciferous vegetables effectively restores the activity that cooking destroyed, increasing sulforaphane bioavailability by up to 4-fold. Number 1 is the single most impactful daily habit for cancer prevention after 50. This is the one. Number 1 is sleep. But not just sleep specifically, what researchers now call oncological sleep architecture, meaning the specific quality and timing of sleep that activates your body's most powerful anti-cancer system. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system. This is a recently discovered waste clearance network that uses cerebrospinal fluid to literally flush toxic proteins and cellular debris from your brain and nervous system. Think of it like a power wash cycle. But the cancer connection goes far deeper than brain health. During the same deep sleep phases, your body produces its highest concentrations of melatonin, not just the sleep hormone, but one of the most powerful antioxidants known to science. A review found that melatonin directly inhibits tumor angiogenesis. That means it blocks cancers from building the new blood vessels they need to grow. It also stimulates natural killer cells, the frontline soldiers of your immune system, whose specific job is to identify and destroy cancer cells before they establish themselves. And here's the devastating aging statistic. Melatonin production declines by up to 70% between the ages of 40 and 70. Most people over 65 produce almost negligible amounts during sleep. Your most powerful internal anti-cancer mechanism is running at a fraction of its capacity. A 2019 study classified night shift work, which chronically disrupts sleep architecture, as a probable human carcinogen. That's how serious disrupted sleep is for cancer risk. I had a patient, a 71-year-old from Scottsdale, Arizona, a retired nurse who was sleeping only 5 to 6 hours a night. Her immune panel showed severely suppressed natural killer cell activity. We worked together on a sleep recalibration protocol, consistent 10 p.m. bedtime, complete darkness, room temperature lowered to 67 degrees, and all screens off 90 minutes before bed. Within 6 weeks, her sleep duration reached 7.5 hours consistently. At her 3-month follow-up, her natural killer cell count had increased by 47%. The research is clear. Adults over 60 who consistently sleep 7 to 8.5 hours per night have cancer mortality rates up to 48% lower than those sleeping under 6 hours. To optimize your sleep for cancer protection, set a consistent bedtime and wake time. Make your room completely dark. Even small amounts of light suppress melatonin production. Cool your room to between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit and avoid eating within 3 hours of sleep. Because digestion competes with the cellular repair work your body needs to prioritize overnight. Your synergy tip for sleep: combine your sleep optimization with daily morning sunlight exposure from habit number 3, because morning light anchors your circadian rhythm and directly increases your evening melatonin output. All of the studies referenced throughout this video are linked in the description below. I encourage you to read them, share them with your doctor, and ask the questions that your appointments often don't leave time for. Here's what I want you to hear as we close. You are not too old for prevention. The science does not have an age limit. Whether you are 55 or 85, your body retains a remarkable capacity to heal, to defend, and to regenerate when you give it what it needs. These 5 habits are not exotic protocols. They are the conditions your biology was designed to thrive in. They cost almost nothing. They require no prescription. And every single morning, you get a fresh opportunity to begin. Your independence, your quality of life, your ability to be present for the people you love, that is worth 30 minutes of walking, a glass of water, and a bedtime. Don't let anyone tell you it's too late. The research says otherwise, and so do I. If this video helped you, please subscribe to this channel and share it with someone you care about. Every week, we go this deep into the science of aging well. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 habits are you starting first? And what has been your biggest barrier to good sleep? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every single one. I am a physician dedicated to your health, and I will see you in the next one.